I like that in this case, Opticor Vandal is not just an upgrade over regular Opticor, but more of a side grade. A side grade that ends up being an upgrade overall, but that's mostly because higher fire rate means that weapon is more suitable for a horse shooter game. Vandal version trades that very high damage of Opticor for more fire rate and keeps all of its properties. There's slight variation in other stats, slightly larger magazine size, better status potential, better reload, but nothing is as obvious as a fire rate upgrade. With this one I'll start with the baseline build and we'll talk through it as we evolve the build. Choice of an arcane is a peculiar one, as registering headshots is not as easy as with a lot of other weapons. And weapon being a charge weapon makes that a tad harder, but it still works more than reliably. That choice is down to preference more than anything else. Because of that small area of effect magnetic explosion, I went with cautious shot for exile slot, since weapon has good ammo efficiency, so no need for ammo conversion. Rest is as expected. Damage, multi-shot, critical stuff, viral acceleration to bring that charge time down as much as possible. And in this case, I have a ribbon on it. Not the best roll, but it works. And it hits hard enough for steel path. Just lacks scaling, so we're gonna change this up a little. So for me, obvious thing to try is hunter munitions. After all, weapon does have a good critical potential. So good that if you get critical chance on a ribbon, I would even suggest going with galvanized scope to step into orange crits. Since I don't have that critical chance, I will just replace my serration with hunter munitions. If you don't have a ribbon, you can easily fit hunter munitions in there without messing around. But the reason I ditched damage is because Deadhead offers metric hecton of damage. Only issue is that first kill. After that, it's smooth as butter. Weapon has two sources of damage. Direct damage from the shot and AoE damage on hit. Both have independent critical chance. Both are affected by multi-shot, so there's absolutely no reason not to run hunter munitions in there, unless you're fighting relatively low level enemies. Base damage of AoE part of damage is magnetic, making it very effective against Corpus. But we can make that magnetic help us even against Grenier. Apparently, AoE damage hits before direct damage connects, which means that AoE damage can prime for direct part. Which leads me towards Galvanized Aptitude, and for it, I'll be ditching Vital Sense since my Riven has critical damage. If you don't have a Riven, just use Vital Sense in that slot. Still going with Viral, just overkilling status with two 60/60 mods. And this is probably its ultimate form. While Galvanized damage won't really help with you with AoE part, it escalates damage very fast against those heavier enemies that need few shots to take them down. AoE is still doing a mighty fine job, with primary arcane's damage making it strong enough. A drawback to this is that kills made by AoE damage do not contribute to stacks of Galvanized Aptitude, but since major portion of the damage is direct damage, that's not that big of a deal in my opinion. Even if weapon is such that it cannot hold a charge, it unloads the moment it's fully charged, so you will miss more shots compared to other weapons. It's still worth it because common mobs die from that area of effect damage, and tanky Eximus enemies do melt faster when you put that Galvanized Aptitude into the equation and shoot them directly. And that would be the only drawback of the weapon, the fact that it instantly unloads a full charge. Because it isn't made for snapshots and you have to focus more on pre-aiming angles. AoE still hits as long as you don't miss much. I really appreciate that part of the weapon, because that means you don't really have to aim for enemies that are behind some cover. Just hit the pillar they are behind and that'll get them. Range of AoE damage cannot be increased with any mods. I still think running cautious shot helps if you're not running prime sure-footed on your warframe or you don't have status immunity. Otherwise, vigilante supplies might be a nice for those extra crits, but you can still run that on your sentinel weapon. But is Opticor Vandal a good weapon? Hell yeah! If you liked Opticor, you will love this, even with as tasteful coloring as I have on mine. It's worth doing those Thermia fractures to get it. Barrow Ketir can bring it as well, and so far it's been in rotation 3 times, every 4 months since it was introduced to Barrow's store. Last time Barrel brought it was in March of this year, which means next drop is likely this month. This should be enough information for you to build this weapon the way you like it. I haven't used any buffs in the video, so you can easily beat numbers you see. Thank you for watching, consider subscribing as that helps me out a bunch, and I'll see you in the next one.